Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Chronicles of Power. I'm your host, Keemie, and today we have a very special guest in the house with us. You may know him as K9 from BMF, but I was recently introduced to him as Rayan, and this entire time I've been calling him Ryan. But this is Mr. Rayan Lawrence. Please introduce yourself to the crew and the rest of the fans.
Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? My name is Rayan Lawrence, aka K9 from BMF Starz, the best show on TV.
So, well, so we're gonna get into that later because I do
Let's
want to
do it.
know if you are partaking in the rivalry between Power and BMF.
Oh well, I can partake in it. I said a little comment the other day when Meech and Michael and Giovanni went at it. I did a little comment.
You got in there? What did you
I
say?
got in
'Cause
there. I probably said something slick. I said, don't let me and Meech have to pull up on them like I did Cinderella.
I didn't see that. Oh, so you want smoke? That's what you're trying to say.
Oh, you already know. You already know.
Okay,
All of
so
them.
with all of them,
All of them.
no. But your allegiance should be to Power because that's where you started,
That is, you're right. You're right. But
right? Like,
right. But right now, Canine is out, so he's outside. Detective Claremont, was back then. Right now, we on Canine, so you know what side I'm on.
but you can always they can always bring you back because Detective
That
Claremont didn't die,
that is
right?
true. That is
And right
true.
now, spoiler alert, K9, I mean, my thinking is that, K9 is in jail right now. So that keeps him alive to the next season, right?
Right. Well,
So,
keep at least up to what we up to episode 8. At least up to episode
we're
8.
up to episode 8. But we'll see what
Yeah.
happens in 9 and 10.
Well,
So,
yeah. We still got a few
my
left.
first question for you is just to get some more background from you,
Yeah.
so people who don't know who you are, who are not familiar with your work, or not even familiar with
Yeah.
you per se, like, where are you from?
Oh, from Brooklyn, New York.
Uh,
Yes. Yes. Brooklyn, New York.
Same place. And then, so I know that you're from Brooklyn, but what part of Brooklyn are you from? Because that
Oh,
makes
from
a
Flat.
difference.
Oh yeah, we can detail. I'm from Flatbush, where all the Caribbeans is at.
That's right. Did you grow up in Flatbush your entire life, or you moved
Yeah,
around?
yeah. No, I
No.
grew up in Flatbush. Yeah,
And were you born here, or were you born
born
in?
here as well. Yeah, born here as
Oh,
well.
okay,
My
okay,
my
okay.
mother's
So,
from Jamaica and my dad's from Trinidad.
so you got the best food in your house.
You already
So you
know.
had roti, you had oxtail, you had
Yeah, yeah.
cow, you had
I I,
everything.
I had ackee and saltfish on Sunday mornings.
There you go with fried dumpling and
What
food.
about fried dumpling? Yes, yes, yes. Facts. And
Okay.
hardle bread. We can't forget the hardle bread.
Okay, so I miss hardle bread so much because I can't eat carbs anymore.
Oh
So,
man,
like, I miss
man.
hardle bread, I miss rice and peas, I miss dumpling, I miss all
Well,
of those things.
Well, here's the thing. I'll eat it for you. There we
Oh,
go. You know what I'm saying, right?
well, at
You can
least
live
I know you're
vicarious through
not
me.
Hollywood. At
Huh?
least I'm not Hollywood,
Right,
because when
right.
people told me you were in LA, I was like, "Oh, he probably don't even eat bread. He doesn't even know where any of these things shop." He
Well,
doesn't
at times you'll cut it out for sure. Being
for
out here,
sure.
when you go up and down weight in the business, you know how it is. Like a title
Did
fight.
you did you have to bulk up for your role on, BMF?
No, I just went down, like I just went down to what I felt was the right weight that I wanted to be. But not had the bulk up for it. I
Okay.
like buff on
Wait,
screen, as you trying to say?
no. Just character is extremely
Yeah.
intimidating. I'm not
Oh, I see.
sure what your because I remember you from another show that
Yeah.
I don't know if we can talk about, but because I don't wanna cry, but there was a show that you used to be on that I used to love, and I don't know what happened to it. It was called Underground.
Yes,
Do
yes,
you
yes.
what happened to that show? Why
Uh,
did
what I yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question. I
okay,
think it might have had something to do with uh studio having to, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive for the third season. I think
okay.
that's what it was, and what at the time that station we were on could offer versus what somebody else could offer. I think that was one of the things that was the issue with that, I believe.
Did they ever discuss possibly bringing it back? I know we're
It'll
here to
be
talk
it'll,
about BMF,
yeah,
but
no, 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 it's fine. It will be hard because I think everybody has moved on and done other projects.
of
Um, But of course, I'm always open to it. Um,
Did you like your time on that
I
show?
did. I did. It was amazing. Growing up, I wasn't a big fan of history. And so, once I booked the show, then I started to do my history back then in the 1800s, and was able to, learn a lot of things. And I felt that, that was needed for this project. And it opened me up to a lot of things, especially being shooting out in Savannah. That
Mhm.
was a good cultural experience for me.
How was it shooting in Savannah? Did you experience well, when you film, are you
Mhm.
closed off and just with people who you work with, or do you get to go out and see the town and interact with the locals? How
Yeah.
was it being in Savannah? Because it's not like Atlanta, or at
Right.
least what I'm told. Was it difficult to roam around, or did you have any issues while you were out there, or is it different because you're an actor and people know that you're filming?
Well, in that particular role, I did venture around a bit. I was able to check out a lot of places out in Savannah at the time. Um, I think I didn't need to. I would say I can explain it like this. So the work that I had to put in with Kanan was different than the work I had to put in for Elliot for
Mm,
Underground. So it gave me a little bit more free time to work, to roam around in Savannah versus when I was shooting Kanan. It was different on
mhm.
BMF because at the time it was way more preparation that I had to do because of the severity of the character. So that was one of the biggest difference between that. But I was able to definitely venture around in Savannah. It was a good time.
So, what type of preparation did you do for Canine?
Well, it started with what you want to find out. What you want to do is whenever you're developing a character, is find a foundation. So you want to find the similarities, right? So one of the
Right.
similarities I have is I don't like to be disrespected, and obviously you see Canine doesn't like to be disrespected. He goes to another level that I
Have you
won't go, but you see what I mean right there. And I like to wear a lot of jewelry. Same
Mhm.
thing with Canine. He loves to dress nice. I love to dress nice.
Yeah.
I used to play,
Me
you know what I mean? I used to play basketball at a high level, and he was a park legend out in Detroit. So we had those similarities. So that was one of the first things that I wanted to find out first, and then start doing your research of back in that time. Back in that time was the 1980s. Before I was able to find information on K9, I looked up YBI, Young Boys Incorporated. That was one of the biggest crime families out in Detroit at the time, and I started to develop stuff from learning from them. The stuff I found on YouTube, a lot of YouTube research, Google, and eventually, my second rehearsal was able to find out information on him from the producer.
Right, I
And
was gonna ask you that. Do
yeah,
they have specific researchers who actually reach out to the family, or 'cause he passed
yeah,
a
yeah,
while,
he did pass, yeah.
'cause I
So they
know
were,
the
mhm,
the guy who plays Lamar, he's still alive. I actually watched an
yes,
interview from him, not the guy
yep,
who plays Lamar, but the
the
person that
real
Lamar's
guy,
character is based on is still
yeah,
alive. I if you're ever his story is wild, but
it is
because of
very,
his story is how I found out about Kane who the character K9 is based on. I think his name was Dog?
yeah. Well, street name was Dog, but his real name was Lawrence Noel.
Right. So,
Yeah,
they were similar in terms of, like, how they conducted their business, how they used intimidation as a way of force, and how
yeah,
they ran Detroit. But
yeah.
his family is still around. Were they contacted for BMF or
I believe they were getting the information from somebody from the family. I don't know exactly who. I was actually fortunate enough to meet uh some of the family halfway through filming. I was
Oh,
able to
that's
meet his
dope.
sons, yeah, his sons, his girlfriend, his wife. I was able to meet everybody.
You got a girlfriend and a wife?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So I was
And
fortunate
you
enough to
and
meet.
you met
I
them
even I
all
even
in
met
one
his
room?
his brother. Huh?
Huh? They
Yeah,
were
I
all
even
in
met
one
his
room
brother.
together? Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
they
cutting you off.
were. They were. No, you good. Yeah, they were. We all went out to dinner at one time. Yeah, so
How
we had a great time. That was when I was in Detroit.
so you got to ask them questions about him and
Well, I would say I was listening because
okay.
when we're doing a character, you have to sign an NDA, so you can't talk about what's going on currently with the show. So
Oh,
all I could do is just sit and just listen. So they wanted to give me information about him, then you just listen. You just sit there and listen and smile.
But then, so then, I guess my
Retain.
question after that would be, because you were exposed to them and you were able to sit down and listen and
Yeah.
intake what you were getting from them, how then did you, with the researcher side
Hmm.
that you got from the producers,
Yeah.
how did you build the character to make it your own?
From the foundation, what I was saying, and also I would listen to DMX every day, right? So sometimes when you're developing a character, you want to sometimes when you listen to music, that could also get you into the type of mood. So
Mhm.
DMX, whatever the DMX was rapping about, that's exactly how Kane was living his life. So that was something that came to me just like that. I was, oh man, DMX would be perfect. Also my coach, Sheik from Sheik Studios. Once I had him coach me on the characters, so we was able to put those things together from the foundation, from what we researched, Google, YouTube, and the information I got, listen to DMX, and that's how I was able to portray Kenai.
So, has acting always been a passion for you, or were you doing other things prior to acting?
No, I actually wanted to be an FBI agent. That's what I wanted
Really?
to do at first. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
where did you go to high
I
school
wanted to
since
be
you're from
Pope Pope. Oh,
not
so that's
Popo.
that. Yo, that's a good question. So I went to Mega Evans Middle College.
You went to Medgar Evers?
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh,
yeah,
that is crazy.
yeah,
And then,
yeah,
did you go to college here too?
yeah. John Jay for criminal
Did
justice.
you?
Yeah, yeah. Word.
Yes. So,
Wow. What's your major?
uh, my major was political science.
Oh, nice. I hated science class. I did. I ain't gonna lie to you.
No,
But
no, no,
yeah, my man.
political science. So it was. So I did a lot of research. For instance,
Uh-huh.
I'll give you an example. What my research was based on in order for me to graduate was
Mm-hmm.
I researched recidivism rates as it referred to, or as it related to post-secondary education. So in other
Uh-huh.
words, I was trying to find a correlation between inmates who had access to high school or college, and if they had access to that, would they recidivate after they were released? So in other words, if they were able to continue their education,
Right.
were they more prone to returning to jail? So that's what I was researching while I was
Oh,
there.
nice. Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool. Yeah, I got
What
my
did you
degree
major in
in
since you went
criminal
to jail?
justice.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got my bachelor's in criminal justice.
Did you end up becoming a cop? Can we talk about that?
No,
Or no?
no, no, I
'Cause
did, I did it. I
everybody who
did it.
goes to John Jay ends up that's a cop
Yeah.
at school, let me
That
tell
is,
you.
that is. But I was fortunate enough, like you mentioned earlier, I was fortunate enough to play a cop on TV, right? Power,
Yes, yes, yes,
Blue
yes.
Bloods,
Very well. Oh,
yeah,
yeah, that's right,
couple
you were in
different
Blue
joints.
Bloods too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay, so now we know you went to Medgar Evers Middle College, and I know
yeah.
mad people who went there.
Oh,
And
oh,
then and then you went to John Jay too. So
yeah.
then what did you do after you left John Jay and you didn't become an FBI agent?
Well, while I was going to John Jay, actually, that's when I started to pursue acting.
Okay.
Um, so I definitely one of the goals that I wanted to do was get my degree
Mhm.
while I was pursuing my career in acting. So yeah, I got my degree while I was pursuing my career acting, and just kept going on to where you see me today.
So while you were in John Jay, did you
Mhm.
book anything, or is there anything that we would recognize you from that time?
And yeah, I did. Around that time, I probably did. It's a good question. I probably did. Tyler Perry House of Pain. That was my first
Oh,
guest star role. Yeah, Tyler Perry House of Pain. I did All My Children. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
did you get
It
to
was.
meet Susan Lucci?
It's a good question. I don't think so. I'm trying to remember the actor that I worked with. But obviously one of the series regulars on it. I don't remember his name right now because that was a while back. But I don't think I was able to work with her. I don't recall right now. Maybe she could have been on set that day. I can't recall it at the moment. And I also did. It was which was my first audition ever was an ESPN commercial, which I booked. So that also ran for a little bit.
Okay. So
Mhm.
that's dope. So you did ESPN, so you did, like, not print work, but you did, like, commercial work, and then eventually you did, like, guest starring roles, and
Exactly.
then
So
so
mhm.
no, 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 go.
Yeah, yeah. I did both, juggling both doing the modeling and acting at the same time, and felt I wanted to more so pursue acting because modeling to me is boring. You're just sitting there 2, 3 hours just taking pictures. And I think
Yes.
acting, you can start to really develop a character. Right, exactly. So you can develop a character and do a lot of research, and you play different roles, right? I can go from playing in the NBA, go to playing a cop, to playing a drug dealer or gangster, or playing next door neighbor or something like that. So you get a lot of different options while being an actor.
Do you have a preference in the type of roles that you play?
Um, I don't necessarily feel so. Of course, playing a cop on a higher level, right? Multi-million-dollar movie or a series regular as a detective for FBI agent, that would be definitely the ultimate goal. But it's not anything that I'd be like, oh, I would rather play this or rather play that. As long as the role speaks to me, then that's something that I would pursue and want to portray.
The reason why I asked that is because earlier we were talking about your time on the show Underground
Mm,
and how vastly different that role as Elliot is in comparison to K9. And sometimes I wonder, when you're playing certain roles, is it too traumatic, or have you ever heard the term black trauma porn?
yeah.
Whereas it's
No.
well, black trauma porn means that people feed off of watching pain being inflicted on Black bodies. So, for instance, with the show like Underground and
Mhm.
everything that happened in there and the historical references and how difficult that must be to have to relive it or having to portray it,
Yeah.
is it is it easier to play someone like K9 where you're far removed from it, you're not really in that life, but someone like Elliot, this did happen to our ancestors. Is it hard to relive that, or hard to bring it to screen, or is it harder to play someone as brutal as K9?
That's a great question. Um, I can give you one specific example actually to that. So there
Okay.
was there was a scene where it was a lot of tension on set, and that was actually the day that our formerly president was. It was in 2016. So that same exact day that he was elected,
Wow.
we had a scene where we actually fighting for our rights, and that's when me and the Lawrence boys, that was my crew on the show. We went there. We were supposed to protect the young lady from the sister circle. I believe they call it sister circle,
That was
and we got into a brawl there. And I just want to say there was some real tense. There was a lot of tense that day. Some
uh-huh.
real punches were thrown. Some real punches were thrown that day. But yeah, that was a tough day because it was very intense. I can remember that day like it was yesterday. And yeah, it was a lot of yeah,
Especially being in Savannah, right? Because
especially being in Savannah. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
Trump country.
exactly, exactly. So all you had
He
all that
he
going
who
on,
must
and
not be named, rather.
yeah.
He who must not be named.
Yeah, so
Ah,
it was pretty much difficult when we had to film that scene. I think outside of that, you just wanted to, in a sense, give the I would say you wanted to kind of give the character its truthfulness. So you got to put that aside of the feeling of what they went through at the time, and just try to play as true to the character as possible. I think that's where you just got to step away and just be in the character in that moment, and just be true to the character. Uh, but that was one of the hardest moments I would say that day because of what was going on in reality and what happened in the past, right? Those
mhm.
collided at that time, and that was one of our tough days, probably one of the tough days working on that project.
So I'll make it a little bit lighter now. I know that's a bit
Uh,
heavy.
no, 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 it ain't. It ain't. I like that you brought it up. I like that you
No,
brought it up.
I was surprised because I watched other interviews and I'm like, no one talks about this show. And I'm like, did
Yeah.
this show like just disappear from
Right.
history or from people's minds? Because I'm like, that show was really,
And
really good.
yeah, you had some really
And
talented actors that were a part of it. Whether they were series regulars, where they were recurring, a lot went off to do a lot of awesome things. So
yeah.
we had a really good cast.
So on BMF, you're considered recurring, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And well, I guess we can't ask you if we're going to see you in 9 and 10, right?
Well, watch and see. Watch and see. Right as we currently speak right now, I'm in jail right now. Currently, we
Well,
gotta
they got
watch and see what
that thing
happens.
for us to see what you're doing in there, right?
Yeah. See, I gotta keep watching. You know, I could give it. I know spoilers. Keep watching. We got 2 more episodes.
Okay, 2 more episodes.
Yeah.
Now, I have some frustrations with BMF, right?
Let's
And
talk about
let's talk about it.
it.
Do you watch? Have you watched all 8 episodes up until this part?
Of
Up until
course.
this part of the season?
Yes, of course. Of course.
Now, I know that you are of Jamaican and Trini heritage.
Yeah.
And Jamaican and Trini men, they have a certain je ne sais quoi about them, right? And there are certain things that a certain character on that show does that I believe Jamaican and Trini men do. So let me ask you, as a person of Jamaican and Trini heritage, would you leave your house that has plaster and drywall up to go fix another woman's house?
I personally would. I personally would.
Okay.
And you know, it's funny. I knew you was gonna say that. I knew it. I knew you was gonna talk about it.
I'm glad you knew because when I tell you Charles gets on my nerves, like I can't imagine. Like some things I know they have to they gotta play it up for the TV, right?
Yeah.
Like this man left his house and went to go fix somebody's cabinet, right? And then the woman that he leave his wife for, her breasts are shaped like the infinity sign from the car. And I'm like, so you go leave your wife, your kids, the drywall, no paint, and a whole heap of dirty magazines to go play in somebody else's house? I can't, it doesn't make sense to me. But maybe it's because I'm not a guy. Maybe things that I'm just too far removed from. But Charles is annoying. Like, annoying. Annoying. And I know that a lot of people get frustrated with him. And I'm like going off the deep end right now. But I want to know, what are your thoughts on Charles?
Well, first of all, like what he did the last episode was crazy. I mean, like, yo, you paid cash. How? Why did you keep the receipt? Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, were you saving it for taxes? He was gonna write it off for taxes. That's the only reason I think you keep the receipt. You know, but he was so used to keeping receipts, just like he did when he saw the receipt when Lucille and her daughter had bought, had bought the bra. So I mean, he's wilding out. You can tell though that it was his first time cheating. You can tell because all the mistakes that he was doing, that this was the first time he was cheating. But why we can't blame Mabel? Why we can't blame Mabel? Because she kept coming on to him. You got to get away from the temptations. That's what happened. She kept tempting him.
So we're gonna blame Mabel and not him.
I'm not saying not to blame him. I'm just saying we got to also blame Mabel at the same time. You know, think about what she said. That was disrespect. She said, "I think I'm done borrowing you from your wife now. I think I'm gonna return you."
Well, yeah, she's rude and retarded too. I'm just saying he shouldn't have been there in the first place.
That is true. He
shouldn't have given her the opening for any of that.
He did, and this is what happened when you're around temptation. That's why he should just said never went over there.
Exactly. We didn't even have to worry about blaming her if he didn't go there in the first place, because he knew what he was going there for.
Make sure your happy's home first. Make sure the home is happy.
Yeah, make sure your walls are painted. Make sure you fix up your house first before you go to somebody else's house and go try to
Exactly. Yeah. He left a bad name for us. For us.
Yes, he did. But so then keeping with Charles,
Yeah.
there is something that I can appreciate about Charles, and maybe he doesn't have the right finesse with working with his sons or trying to get his point across.
Right.
That if you had sons
Mhm.
and they were deeply immersed in the drug game or in a life of crime or involved in a crime syndicate, what approach would you take if you were trying to talk them out of it? Or would you even try to talk them out of it?
Oh yeah, you definitely want to talk them out of it because you know the repercussions of being in the streets. You can get killed, you go to jail, you can bring harm to the family. So you're gonna always try to keep them out of it. But sometimes when kids are at that age, it's nothing you can do. You're gonna try to ground them. They're gonna just get out the window. Somehow they're gonna be able to try to, get and do what they want to do. So
Mhm.
you try to guide them. If you choose to do this is what could possibly happen. I just want you to know that. I don't want you to do it, but this is what can probably happen. I think at the time too is that Charles was trying to do everything he could do to not have them live that life, right? That's why he wanted to do that car business. And to Terry, this ain't bringing enough money. And sometimes people got to understand when you do start a business. Sometimes people say what the old saying is, it takes 5 years for a successful business. So
That's right.
he was trying to do good with the car business. It just wasn't paying the bills at the time. And still to this point, he's still not agreeing for them to do what they're doing. But he gave them the saying that I'm kind of saying in a sense is that if you got to do this, you guys need to stick together no matter what. That's one of the things that he said. I believe it was I want to say episode 6 before they went to Atlanta, or episode 5. And he
Mhm.
said that, hey, no matter what, I need you guys to stick together. So he's coming to understand that, hey, it's nothing I can do to change their mind. I'm going to keep educating them, right? But it's nothing I can do. So the only thing I can do is just try to tell you to stay safe.
But what would you do?
What would
Because
I,
that's
what would I,
Charles. That's a fictional
yeah,
character.
yeah,
That we don't know what happened in their real life,
yeah,
but
yeah,
in terms of the show, but what would
yeah. I would approach it the same way. Is just have that conversation. I may not be able to change their mind, but I could just tell them, hey, this the road that you're going down. You can either lose your life, um, go to jail, or you can and you can also hurt the family. So all these things you need to know going down this route, and I can do I can try to do what I need to do to bring money in the house, whether I got to work three jobs, this, that, and the third. But yeah, the best way I could deter them from living a life in the streets is what I would try to do.
so growing
Outside
up
of that, you can't beat them, right? You can't beat
no,
them.
no.
So, that's the only thing you can probably do at that point.
Wait, how old is Meech supposed to be in the show? I know Terry is supposed to be about 17 by now. How
Eh,
old is Meech supposed to be?
That's a good
Because I don't
question.
know their age difference,
Yeah, I know that Meech is older. I don't know his exact age, but I
because
know I
it
know
seems
Meech is
like
older.
they never had a handle on him. Because from when we met him, he was out of the house,
Oh
or
yeah,
they were kicking him out, or he just was out on his own.
yeah.
And I wonder if they always had, not issues, but always had a tougher time getting through to him,
Hmm.
because maybe because he wanted fast money, and the type of money that was coming into the house, it just wasn't enough to sustain
Right,
the lifestyle that he wanted to live. But
right.
then because he had, I'm trying not to like go into too much of a spiel, but you know how they always make references to, being from a two-parent home is going to be better for you than being from a single parent home. And I just
Should be.
wonder, where did the lapse come with him? Like, if you had two hardworking parents, like his mother, I don't know if it's true, but I think she said it was true, because I watched the
Hmm.
other documentary where she did end up having to work at a fast food restaurant. I don't remember if it was
Right.
actually Wendy's or not, but
Hmm.
both of your parents are breaking their backs trying to make sure your sister and your brother are okay, and then you just say, you throw caution to the wind and say, you know what, I'm not dealing with this. I'm gonna go out and try to make it another way. And I just
Hmm.
want to know, like, I wonder where, not that you can answer this,
Yeah.
for him. But I wonder where the lapse comes, or how do you stop that from happening?
I
Because
think I think we're possibly sticking to what we saw in the show. I think the same thing what you were saying before about temptations, right? I think once he saw somehow Pat got into his head. I don't know where. They never dug into how Pat got Meech into it, but he was the first one. And you saw that Meech was intrigued by his car,
Mhm,
and I think that's what it was. The temptation, probably maybe seeing Pat have all this flashy stuff and like, man, I would like to have that. Maybe he saw him at the store, bought him some stuff, and he got used to somebody buying stuff for him, and so maybe Ed, who was the real life Pat,
mhm,
got into his head at the time, and that might have been one of the reasons he ended up turning that way. Seeing the temptation every
mhm.
day, fancy car, fast money. I think that's what ended up getting Meech that way. And Terry just wasn't into that stuff. Terry Lycan was different. And I think that's what, and then you would see that Meech was always trying to get Terry to want that stuff. You know what I
Mm,
mean? And
yeah.
so I think that's what it was with the temptations with Meech, and that's what had him, have a taste for that path, because it was a taste of fast money at an early age.
So we've settled that maybe Pat is where the influence came from, right? But do you
Definitely.
think his time around K9 is what solidified, or Dog is what solidified his place in the business?
I believe so, because if we're talking about the doc as well, you remember Roland, one of his, Meech's best friends, he said, "Hey, when we met uh Dog, they went to a whole new level because Dog had that connection with the Colombians,
Mhm.
and not nobody, it's hard for an African American to have a direct plug like that. And that was the plug that Meech saw, and then the way that Meech guided him. So you remember, even you go back to, even like we were talking about, you go back to the doc where he said, Kane, Dog was gangster. He had the woman, he had the jewelry, he had the money, and he had the connect. So he
Mm.
had all these things that intrigued Meech, just like Pat. Like I said, what we saw from the show, this intrigued Pat with the car, fast money. And now you see K9, who's somebody that was his role model at the time, the nice outfits, the jewelry, the women, the connect. So, and how he handles his
Yeah,
business.
I
Like we see
say
in
that,
the
like,
toughness. Yeah.
I get that, right? Like, boys are attracted to the alpha male, right?
Yeah.
They are attracted
Mm-hmm.
to the alpha. They want to emulate him. It is about the clothing, the cars, the women, but they also want to emulate the person who they think is the toughest. And
Yeah.
maybe he just didn't see those things in his dad.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But that's just me delving in deeper, and
Right.
and he didn't wanna emulate that. He wanted to emulate someone else that he
Something
thought to
else.
be the alpha,
Yeah.
because this person is thought to have everything in order. He has
Mm-hmm.
his women in order because he's dead and they're still around, right? He has
Right.
his women
Mm-hmm.
in order, he has his business in order, he has his money in order, and he has his product in order, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what I wanna be, or what he wanted to be like. So
And he
on
was
my
like,
podcast, that's what I talk
yeah.
about. So, like, I try to delve in deeper and try to get behind the characters and figure out, like,
Yeah.
why things are happening and why these things go a certain way. And that's why I ask you questions like this. Well, what do you think about that? Why do you think that that
The
happened?
the political science. It
Yes.
is, right? You see
I
that?
always want to get to the root of the issue. I always want
Yeah,
to
yeah,
figure out, like,
yeah.
why? Why does that happen? All of my questions are why, why, why? Well, why does this happen? Why? It's never just cut and dry for me. There always has to be some sort of basis to it. So,
I like that.
with that being said, I I have some other questions for you,
Yes, yes.
and I would like to play a game, if you don't
Okay.
mind. Okay?
Let's
And
play a
this is a
game.
game where we're gonna do this or that, right? So you have to pick one. It can't be a tie. It's no, I can't decide. You gotta pick one. Okay?
I mean, it's
So
just like improv 101. Yes, and. There's
here
no
we go.
no, yes, and.
Okay, so tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. Oxtail or curry goat?
Oxtail.
Roti or doubles?
Roti.
Oats or cornmeal?
I would say cornmeal right now. Cornmeal.
Don't let us end the chat. Don't let us end it. Don't let us end it. We will check this right off at 35 minutes and 11 seconds.
Oats. Sorry.
No,
Oats.
you end the chat. End it. Okay. Rice and peas or white rice?
Rice and peas.
Marby or sorrel?
Sorrow.
Cersei or single Bible?
Cersei.
Your grandmother made you drink that, didn't she? Okay. Oliver or Tyler Perry?
Oh, that's deep.
You'll never get that question anywhere else.
You're right. That's deep. Yo, Oliver was the truth. I'll say Oliver for sure. Oliver. Oliver's the truth. I grew
I love
up
Oliver.
watching some Oliver was the truth.
I love Oliver. I hope in this lifetime I'm able to meet him. But
Yeah.
I love Oliver.
Yeah. Oh, he's
Tyler
the truth.
Tyler Perry has his views too. So
Oh yeah. Big time. He's doing a lot for the community.
Yeah, he does a lot for the community, and
A lot for the community.
he does tons of things that we don't give him credit for. And
That is true.
maybe when I was younger, I didn't realize how impactful he is and some of the things that he was doing, because I just looked at him as someone who dressed in drag and didn't appreciate that he wrote, that he had plays, that he built his own studio.
Yeah.
And I think that going forward, I hope we're able to appreciate him the way that we should. But
Fact.
again,
And I think some people, when you were saying, say what you just said, right? I think sometimes people feel they need to get to a certain position to start to put everybody in place, right? So he started to do the plays, do this and that. What attracted people, right? Got his audience. Boom. Now he's able to build a big studio in Atlanta, which I've heard he's expanded as well. And he's able to give so many people jobs. You know what I mean? You see in a lot of his projects, he brings out new faces, right? And he uses different types of formula, right? He'll do a project where he has that one main face, but then everybody around him is upcoming actors, right? Or everyone around the main actor are names, and then you have that person who's the unknown as the lead. So he was using that formula, and like I said, affording people jobs, that's pretty good, and especially where he came from, knowing his backstory.
And you know who else does that?
Right.
Our dear 50 Cent, right?
That's what I was about to say. I actually told 50 Cent this when we was in Detroit. I said 50 Cent got to get his flowers too, because he's another person who has been giving us this opportunity.
Yeah. How many stories he's able to tell. I mean, obviously Courtney Kemp too, right? But look at how vast this is. How many spinoffs there are. How many people are currently employed. How many writers get to write. Producers and just even down to the music, right? You get to get your music on the show. You get to score the show. Like, there's so much that goes into this, and you have to give people like Oliver and Tyler Perry and 50 Cent their props for bringing everyone along.
Exactly.
And, when they say some Black people, they don't look back once they make it to a certain place. We can always say within those three people, they have always looked back and tried to bring other people along with them.
Exactly.
But I think I have one more for this and that. But thank you for saying that.
Of course.
Okay, so one more. Okay.
Yeah.
Rum and raisin or grape nut?
Rum and raisin for sure.
Okay. And then this is a question that I ask everyone, especially those who are in the Powerverse. If you had the opportunity, now I know that you are in BMF and you're not within Power, but so
I'm still in the Power. Yeah, I'm still, still there. Like you said, I'm still alive.
You chose BMF over Power because this is where you said your allegiances now, right? Because this is where you are. Because you jumped in the fight with Michael and Michi, right?
I did. My bad. And me and Michael go back. Like I even did what you call it? I even did what you call with Michael too. I did Barbershop 3.
Oh, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So him and I got some. We got history.
You got history, but look where you chose. Look where you chose.
No, man,
But
man.
if if given the chance, if you had the opportunity to pick 3 people from either BMF, Power, Ghost, Force, all across the Powerverse, all across the Starsverse, we'll say, who would you have dinner with and why?
Uh, that's a great question. Of course, Ghost. Number one person we sitting down because he has that business mind, right? He
Well,
came
he's
from
a
the streets.
sociopath,
He,
but
a
yeah,
little bit, but
I like
we
it.
if now here's the question. I'm gonna get you back.
Okay,
Am I
get it.
sitting down as Canine having this conversation with these 3 individuals, or Rayon sitting down having a conversation with these individuals?
You're sitting down as Rayon.
Okay, perfect. So I would still have that conversation with Ghost. I just wanted to want to know. We just will have. I just need to know it. Just love how his mindset is about the business, right? I
Mhm.
also think I would have a sit down with Rock. It's something about rap, you know what I mean? From Raising Canaan. I think her and I would have great conversations. Same thing. She has that business mindset, that ruthless attitude. So I think it's something I can learn from her as well.
Mhm.
And the last person I would sit down with, since you included both universes,
I
sit
did.
down with Meech,
Uh,
right? Because
so
you love what Meech is about, the family, right? He's all about family, always dressing nice. Like, I like to dress nice. So I'd be like, yo, where you shop at? Let's have this conversation, bro. But that's what I want to do. And even though he's doing something illegal, um, he likes to give back at the same time. And we see that he learned that from Canine, right? Where
Mhm.
he got into the altercation with his mom and is like, let's go give this money to the poor. So at the same time, this is what Meech learned. And yeah, about family, giving back. And in real life, one of the people that he helped along the way was Jalen Rose, right? So he played an integral part in Jalen Rose's life career. So yeah, I'll have
Throughout
to
the
sit down
time
with
of the Fat
Meech,
Five, or
Ghost, and Rock, huh?
sorry, go ahead. Say
Yeah,
the
no
3
worries.
again.
I'll have that sit down with Ghost, Rock, and Meech.
I think
Can't
that
sit
says
down.
a lot about your personality because you want to
Yeah,
be with yes.
those are all bosses, right? Right?
Right.
In
So what
real life, you boys are boss out in these streets. You know what I mean?
would you change?
But
Would you
I
change
wouldn't.
if it was because you said these are your picks if you're sitting down as Rayon. Would
Right.
you change your picks if you're sitting down as K9 as the character?
That's a good question. I would change my mind about Meech only because he would be
You're
on the
under.
younger side. So
Yes.
Canine wouldn't feel he can learn anything from him. So he wouldn't have a sit down with him. It'll more so be a sit down with Ghost, Rock, and I think his last sit down will probably be, even though I haven't watched the show much, but that boss mentality and you love, and about the clothing that they wear. Me and Mary J. Blige would have a sit down.
Mhm.
Those are the
I-
3. And again, she's the boss, right? So
yeah.
Kana would have that conversation with her, those 3.
Okay.
All
I like your pick.
boss individuals.
Okay, but I'm gonna give you a little bit of food for thought,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
I think that okay, so there's a book. Everybody knows these books. It's called Harry Potter, right? Have you ever read
Yes.
Harry Potter?
I have it. I have it.
You have. I'm gonna tell you one of the themes or one of the takeaways that I got from Harry Potter that I'm not sure if everybody else picked up on was that we underestimate children and we kind of disregard what they're thinking. We don't take their thoughts seriously because we think
Right.
that they don't have enough experience and they haven't been they are not well versed as much as adults are, right?
Uh-huh.
And I think that if sitting at the table you don't choose Meech, I think that you're making a mistake there because Meech is the one that's coming for your spot. So he's the one that I would probably be trying to pick his brain the most as Canine,
Uh-huh.
only because like he's under you and you can't have the top spot forever. So I would want to
Right.
know what he's thinking, what his next moves are. He would definitely be at my table, especially
Mhm.
because I'm trying to groom him, but I also don't want him to go above me.
Right, right. It was right, exactly right, and exactly how you see, because you know, some people are confused, I think, when I see some of the Twitter comments is that maybe was it Twitter comments or stuff that I would hear from people that say he passed the mantle to Meech. No, it was Kanine saying you can sit at the table now. You
Mhm.
know, instead of you at the kitty table, you can come sit at this
Come with
table
me.
now. You still
Welcome.
ain't over Kanine. Right. Now you can sit and have these conversation with K9 and Pat. You can be right here having these conversations as well. And I see what you're saying. That makes a lot of sense.
I don't
If
want to
one
change
person,
your mind. I just want to
no,
give
no,
you
no.
some thought to make you think
That that
about
that's that's dope. That's actually dope. And but here's one thing you could learn from this person, but not in any of these universes. But you listen to his music.
Mhm.
Young kid that knew a lot. Michael
Who?
Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
What he was singing as a kid, deep.
And the
Michael
pain
Jackson, we can have a
voice.
conversation. Huh?
I said, and the pain in his voice, e
Yeah, all of
even
that.
though you would think that he's so young and he
You
wouldn't
would
have experienced any of these
he
things,
had that old soul.
he
Yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah,
And my
yeah.
daughter my daughter, she's obsessed with Michael Jackson, so trust
Oh
me, I
yeah.
have to listen to this over and over so
Over and over. Yes.
over again. I hear
Yeah.
songs I never even knew existed because
I'll
of
tell
her.
you.
She's only 8, so and she's obsessed, obsessed. She's obsessed with
Ah,
Michael Jackson and David Ruffin.
they
Well,
nice. She has an old soul then too.
she does
She
have
has
an
an old
old
soul.
soul, but I
Uh-huh.
wanted to tell you, thank you so much for taking this time out to speak with me. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as
I
much as I
did. I
did,
did. Yes.
and hopefully the next time you're in New York or Brooklyn, we can link up
Yes.
and have a, like,
Yes.
in-person chat,
Yes. Stop the
okay?
studio.
So,
Of course.
before you go, can you tell us about anything that you have coming up? I know you have something coming out on TV1, but do you have anything
Yeah.
else coming out?
Ye I just I just closed on a new movie, and that
Yeah.
one yeah, yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. Not gonna
Congrats.
say too much about them, but thank you, yeah, so that one, I'm excited to start filming soon.
Okay.
But, First Comes Love, Then Comes Murder, that will be the next one, if something don't come right before that, because I do have things slated to come, but that's the one I know that should be coming pretty soon, believe between May and July, and then I'll be filming this new project pretty soon. So that's what's in the works, and I'm also in talks for other projects at the same time too. So
When do
yeah,
you
so we got
guys
some exciting things going.
Okay, that's great. Congrats. When do you guys
Thank
start
you.
filming BMF again?
Actually, right now, filming right now.
Oh,
Season three
wait.
is being taped right now, currently
Do they film in where do they film? In Detroit or they
in
film
in Atlanta.
in Atlanta?
Season one and season two. Uh, we did Atlanta. Season three, we'll have to see, right? Because
Okay.
remember, Meech goes to Atlanta, so we
Mhm.
have to see if they dive back into season if they dive back into Detroit.
Okay. Oh, well, thank you again. It was a
Thank you for
pleasure
having
meeting
me.
you and a pleasure
It's a pleasure
speaking
meeting
to
you
you.
too.
Please keep in touch.
Yes, yes, for
All
sure,
right.
Miss Jamaican.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty.